if she, or she can accuse me of.
That's still not defamation. So you go through this hearing, the fact that the conduct was not
And you should get to,
that's just something else.
So like
you have information that's not.
Bring it up to the.
Get it for like
And they were like, we recognize you too. They were like, you were all the focus, they're like, what in the hell? And they were like, no, just like, I don't recognize you. I never worked with
Monday, right? I went to Texas when I was in tonight. I went to the movies. I'm like, going to the movies. I'm about to travel. It's a big spread.
But then we got the thing. So what would I have? Okay, I get you, but I'm the only person that's she is giving me.
So the question is going to be,
email you so much. I appreciate all that.
if there's any,
It's out of my body. It covers like 60% of the
what information is not discussed.
Those people don't have money on the same phone.
This is, I would suggest that everyone listen very carefully, because when I heard this present or similar presentation from these speakers in Monmouth County, it was scary because this presentation. Unfortunately, the things you don't know about security and the liability you run as attorneys for lawsuits and malpractice and ethics violations because you don't secure your phones, your computer systems, your offices is very, very scary. I know I did a lot more things more careful things after I heard it. The three speakers are Scott Johnson, Elmer Dean, and Sean Conway. Sean's been with our firm for several years besides the tech stuff. He's worked on emotions. He's one of those that's organized all the law that you heard. Elmer runs our security and our tech support and has been at his own company with computer work and security for years. And Scott Johnson, I believe, was 25 years with the state police, 3 years running the FBI lab. He runs, the name of the company is?
Cone Resnick.
Cone Resnick. And like I said, the knowledge here of what you don't know can hurt you. So please listen very carefully.
All right, folks, we're going to go through just a little bit of basic technology so that we don't happen to use any contractions or any abbreviations that you don't know. I've given you in here space throughout. If you go through each section, the RPC, it covers whatever we're speaking about here. So you'll see here, RPC 121 is confidence. That one speaks for itself, except that if you look at The ADA has done, the New Jersey RPCs obviously come from the RPCs is promulgated by the American Bar Association. The ABA has made comments on RPC 1.1 competence, which says, you see especially the bolded text up there, in order essentially to be a competent lawyer, you have to have some basic grasp of technology as it relates to practicing law. They say, including the benefits and risks associated with relevant technology, engage in continuing study. So, right now, I would argue that by knowing a little bit more about technology, you're satisfying your ethical obligations. So we have here a slide on just basically what is the internet. Jump in, Elmer.
Take it, Elmer.
Okay. We all use the internet every day. The thing is, what is it? How do we use it? What do we do with it? I think most of the attorneys here use it for research, different cases, all that kind of thing. Well, when you're on the internet, where are you going? That's, Sean was talking URLs and all that kind of stuff. So you're really going, we talk about cloud technology today, you're just going to another place, another location to pick up that information. Okay. There's a lot that we can do on the internet. Every device, one of the things we'll talk about is IP addresses. Every device, whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Canada, it's all got an address. Okay, so all is the same as your home address. We can locate any device anywhere. So that's some basics of what we're doing.
And it's essentially, the internet is just a giant network of computers. It is not a series of pipes as it's been described before. Basically, every device has its own address, like Elmer said, an IP address, and uses a protocol called TCP/IP to transmit packets of information back and forth between machines. Each of these data packets has a header that says, this is where I'm supposed to go. And it has a life of its own. It's redundant all over the place so that, when an undersea cable somewhere fails, the network can adapt and information can be transmitted around. Yeah, we've jumped through a couple of these. URLs. Go for it.
All right, so TCP/IP, internet, IP, all that, just for your purposes, you really don't need to worry about that. The internet, basically, think your telephone system. If I'm going to call a complete stranger, I don't just, all right, their phone number is 201-556-8383. I don't know that. So I go to the phone book. So the phone book is this DNS system, and you throw in the URL, which is John Smith or google.com, right into your browser. It goes out to the DNS system, the domain name system, and says, oh yeah, his phone number is 201-555-1212, or his IP address is 192.168.1.1. Your computer says, that I know, and it then goes to that site and delivers you the web page. Really simple, just translate TCP/IP internet, the phone system.
We mentioned that because it's the URLs and things like that are susceptible to, basically every kind of technology you can think of that is network computer technology is susceptible to attack in one form or another. With URLs, there are things like spoofing and typo squatting. I'm sure probably every single person here has tried to go to a website like google.com and you've hit 3 O's instead of 2 O's. You get a website that looks something like google.com, but it's not actually google.com, and that's called typo squatting, where somebody goes out and buys the URL and to an intentional spelling there. I have one at the bottom there that looks sort of like Wikipedia, but it's not actually Wikipedia. Well, you don't know that, and if you type that in and you assume you've done it correctly, and you get a website that looks similar to what you're looking for, you may not realize you're on somebody else's website giving them information that you don't want to give them.
That happens a lot when you do Google searches. Say you might be looking for McAfee or someplace else. Another site may come up at the top of that list, and that's really not McAfee. And you click on it, next thing you know, what's just happened on my computer. I've got this and I got this and I got this. That happens all the time.
Scott already spoke a little about the domain name system, which is what translates when you want to go to nytimes.com. You don't know. nytimes.com is actually something like 205.37.29.249. You don't know that. There's no way for a human being to remember that. So DNS translates nytimes.com into whatever the computer needs to actually get there. DNS is interesting because it can be a vector for attack in the same way that you can have, somebody can do a typo squatting type attack where they reroute traffic. You can do that through DNS also, but you can also look at, I mentioned a product there called OpenDNS. You set that up on your work computer or on your home machine. You can go in there and have it block different content for you and redirect you around unsafe content. So it's something to think about if you have kids and you don't want them looking at, pornography and whatever else is out there on the internet. You can check out OpenDNS. What it does is if they type in something, www.badsite.com, and you've said they can't go to badsite.com, they'll get an error message because they won't, unless they actually know what the DNS entry is for badsite.com, if they're not going to know. So you'll see I've recommended products and things throughout here. They're in the materials you've already been distributed. So if you ever want to take a look at them, there's references throughout.
And it's free.
Yeah, OpenDNS is free.
File storage and deletion is my bread and butter. So I did computer forensics for the state police, detached to the FBI as a task force member, as their deputy lab director, and all about computer forensics. Computers, cell phones, all different kinds of computers. Now it's the Internet of Things, so your dishwasher talks to your stove. And we laugh, but they actually do, and there are now attacks. You'll see it abbreviated, IoT. There are attacks now that are literally working around harnessing everybody's Samsung refrigerator to go ahead and attack Sony Music so that they can't get their movies distributed out to the movie theaters. So it's a real thing. The fact that they've added intelligence devices that no one pays attention to is just a massive boon for hackers. Because, and by the way, how do you update your refrigerator? Is Norton antivirus available for your microwave? Not yet. Coming soon. I predict that you'll see it. And now with Norton antivirus scrolling across next to the chicken cook time.
All right, so with respect to file storage and deletion, we have a couple of applicable ethical rules. We have Opinion 692, which is on the retention of closed client files, which is that 7-year period that everybody knows about. Opinion 701, which is specifically on electronic storage and access to client files. And we also have RPC 5.3, which is responsibilities regarding non-lawyer assistance. 692 talks about the manner in which you destroy client files. Well, I would argue that just as you are required to take adequate steps to secure paper files and destroy those, you're clearly also responsible for hacker-proofing the electronic versions of the files, and when you're done with them, adequately deleting and destroying them. Now we're going to get into, I'd like to talk for a minute about deletion. Scott, if you want to jump in a minute.
Yeah, sure. So by now, there's enough CSI and everything out there that everybody kind of understands that deleted doesn't really mean deleted. In most cases, all deleted means is an instruction to your computer, don't show them this file anymore. And it sits out there on the disk, and it sits there until something either overwrites it, or you throw your computer away with all those deleted files on it, and somebody picks it up out of the garbage and does an examination on it. So it's really important that you keep track of what you've put down on disk and have an adequate strategy to manage it as it's time to go out the door. And to further understand what in your office has a disk and file storage, because it's not readily apparent.
Now, what we also do at the firm is when we remove a computer off the network and it's going to the garbage, basically, the recycling, we take out the hard drive and have it shredded. That's the easiest way for us to destroy any data that may be on that hard drive.
These guys didn't do
Physically
this.
shredded.
Yeah.
Right. We have, our colleague Kevin pulled this news article about a CBS News investigation. CBS News a year or two ago did an investigation where they just went to a copier machine supplier. There was nothing special about it. It was just, a place where you could buy used copiers. They bought several copiers, several used copiers. Again, nothing special about this. They just went and pulled 4 random copiers. They ended up with the information that you see there, which included detailed domestic violence complaints and sex offender lists from the Buffalo, New York Sex Crimes Division, the targets of a drug raid from the Buffalo Police Narcotics Unit, dozens of pages of pay stubs with names and social security numbers and copied checks from a business, and over 300 pages of individual medical records, including prescriptions, blood test results, and diagnoses. I'm sure probably everyone in here has used a copier, a newer copier, at some point, one of the ones with the touch screen, whatever, and you've seen, as you put a document on there to make a copy, it's scanning it. And it's at least temporarily putting whatever you are scanning into it is going into a memory, some kind of memory buffer on that machine. And in the case of these documents, they were stored on an internal hard drive where it lasts not indefinitely but for years, so that you can go and pull all these things, randomly out of it. You may not have realized that as you're using your copier, that's a potential vector for attack, but in fact it is. When you get rid of your copier, just like Elmer said, you should probably take steps to destroy, if it has internal storage, destroy that internal storage.
So secure deletion in this terms, we're talking about, we're back to a computer. And secure deletion involves the use of a program that actually takes your data and doesn't just mark it as gone, it overwrites it. And depending upon the protocols that you use, if you're running it by Department of Defense standards, it's going to overwrite it 3 times with random characters, because even deleted with overwriting, if the NSA for some reason wanted whatever you have, they'll break out the electron microscope and look at all the ghost data on the sides of where you're working. So 3 times is the standard. You can probably get away with once, to be honest. But in the case of your copier that you're going to throw out, the old drill or a drill press right through the plates of the hard drive, that is deleting your data. No one is getting that.
But what about if you're leasing a copier, at the end of the lease, the company comes and wants to have it back if you do one? What do you tell them to do at that point?
Well, that's where when you enter the lease, you have to understand the technology that's coming into the office and make arrangements at that point in the game that you're going to keep your data one way or another. Or some of them now, because this has made such a big splash in the press, they will actually certify for you that the data on the drive is destroyed. They'll send it to someone like me, who will toss it in, do a DoD wipe on it, and then give them a certificate that says, yeah, I certify that all data on this drive has been wiped. It's not hard to do, but
Where do you get that software?
you can just download it off the internet. I mean, there's a million different wiping utilities. If you have, most of the antivirus it has now, McAfee, Norton, they all have Secure Delete. Shredder is a free program. Anti-recovery. Just look for secure file deletion, and they'll go in there and tell you. But it's important that you realize that when you start today securely deleting your file, that's great. But think of everything from today back in time that you've hit delete on, and you need to be ready to manage that. So when you get rid of a computer in your office, don't just let somebody take it. Take the hard drive out, put it through a drill press, or securely wipe it.
It's pretty easy to yank the hard drive out of the computer before you get rid of it. I mean, I've done it before, and you just take the hard drive out, open it up, smash it with a hammer, or a drill.